live. Sean is sipping on some more Worcestershire sauce.
What's up, everybody? How are we, old bean?
I don't know what that means. We are here with our guest, James, Mr. James, and
What up, James?
welcome back to
Hello.
Mini Life.
How are we all? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, it's all good. Tired, if anything.
Yeah, I feel that, man.
Yeah, lots of driving.
Yeah.
Hey.
You just got back from something right now. You were out cruising with the Mini?
It had a new engine about a fortnight ago, so the past 2 weekends I've done about 950 miles.
Damn.
Not a bad way to run it in.
Friday was about a 300-mile trip into Wales, all around the sort of the north coast, and then back through central Wales, around Snowdon Mountains. We saw pretty much every weather possible. It was tipping it down most of the day, but we've seen the snow on the tops of the mountains. There's a lot of sleet, a lot of rain.
Mike, do you even know what snow is over there?
That's really funny.
It's a rarity we get it over here now, though.
That's true, actually, James. Yeah.
It's funny because it doesn't rain very often here in Southern California, but there's mountains right behind me. Southern California is interesting. I've said this before, but you could kind of go up to the mountains in 2 hours at a lake or whatever and go back down to the ocean and surf it. Like, you could do a bunch of stuff. But it doesn't rain very often, and there was a big storm that came through this weekend, and it snowed up in the mountains right here. So if I peek out this window right here, there's some snow caps, baby.
Woo!
So check that out. We got the rain like the UK and the snow.
Well, we've
And I
had
got 'em
sunshine yesterday.
We
I'm
just
pretty
want the sun
much.
right
Yeah.
half the time.
Hell yeah, right? Seriously. If it was sunny there, man, then UK would be much more popular.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, I can't let this one slide because this is something I've always wondered. And I know what it means. Some of our guests might not, but you said something that you had a new engine a fortnight ago.
Yes.
What the hell? Why? What is Fortnite? Like, why
So-
is that a thing? What is that? Where does that come from? Do you know?
I have no idea.
We should give it a goog.
I think
We
it's
need
just
a Google.
some old British thing of times gone. I don't really know. I've grown up knowing it. Everyone says it. It's sort of like if it was 2 weeks ago, it was a fortnight ago. Yeah, I can't really answer that one, unfortunately.
Come on, Mike. You got to be quicker on those Google fingers. Let's do it.
Give
I wanna
it a
know.
goog. Give it a goog.
It's not something that's ever really crossed my mind.
Just listening to the R56 woes.
Tell you what, it definitely isn't. It isn't the game that all the kids play.
Yeah, exactly. Sean, I think you should put the diesel engine in the kind in the Clubman,
It would be more reliable.
right?
Mm.
Is that diesel engine reliable?
No,
But is it the Peugeot one or the Toyota one?
it's the Peugeot one.
Oh, maybe not then.
Yeah.
You should put an A series in it.
I don't think it would move the car. The car weighs like 1,700 kilos, Mike. I don't think it would actually move the car.
It might.
Put an A series in it.
Yeah.
It
If
do
you put in
seven.
James A series, James
Oh,
got a
yeah.
hopped up bad boy.
Hey,
All
wait,
right,
we
well,
have,
let's. Oh, go ahead.
we haven't plugged anyone. We haven't plugged anything. What's going on?
That's true.
We're still-
I started to. Listen, I'm just going to let this roll for the audience. I don't know. Apparently, I dropped out, but everything said I was recording. So who knows what you guys are hearing right now?
It's-
We're going to splice
all
this
gone wrong.
biatch together. Listen, James. We never said we were professionals. So, anyways. First of all, go follow us on minilife.37 on the socials, and I'll plug my main man, James here. It's Miniman J. Allen. Check that out so we can know what we're talking about here. Let's jump into the questions here. James, how did you get into minis? What kind of attracted you to them, and what started this whole bug?
Well, as far back, the earliest memory of a Mini I can have, I would have probably been about 7 or 8 at the time. My uncle was down visiting, and he came down in what I remember vaguely as it was red. It had a white roof, possibly been a Mayfair. And I'd never been out in one at this age. And he took me out in it, and he had the soundtrack to the Italian Job, the 1969 version, on tape, not on CD, actually on cassette.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, you got 7 or 8-year-old me bombing around the local town, windows
It's
down.
the self-preservation.
Pretty much
I'm just
on full volume.
I'm just
I was
adding
loving
into it.
every minute of it.
It's all about Days Like These by Matt Monro or whatever his name was.
Until it gets blown up in the tunnel, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it sort of stemmed from there, really. Obviously, he moved on from that car. But he had all sorts back in the day. Old Volvos and Saabs, and yeah, quite a bit up and down. And then he became quite a successful banker. So yeah, he sort of moved away from that, and now he lives abroad, but he comes back over every now and again. But yeah, I mean, my mini journey, I suppose, would start from there. That was sort of the bug that made me want one. And then when I sort of finished high school, there was a lad I was in college with at the time. He got a red Mayfair, and I used to drive around in that. Yeah, I liked it. I said to my mum, I said, "Oh, I want one," but obviously at this point I couldn't drive. So I waited a few years, did a few odd jobs here and there, and then finally got round to learning to drive. And I said to my mum and dad at the time, I said, "Right," I said, "You know, what car can I have?" And I think my dad at the time had just bought a Chevrolet Matiz, some little 1 litre box thing. That was his
Washing
second
machine
car.
on wheels, aren't they?
Yeah, that was his second car to keep the mileage down on his main car. And they put me on that, and I drove around in that for a little bit, but I didn't enjoy it. I wanted something, so I had a trawl on eBay, and my 2 options that I came up with were a lime green Metro, and this Mini that turned out to be the same one that the guy at college had.
No way.
So my mum flat out refused to let me have a Metro. Something about a horror story of seeing one getting T-boned and being absolutely trashed. So I ended up with a Mini, which is probably arguably about the same.
If not worse.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
probably about the same, if not worse. So yeah, we went and saw it. My mechanic friend at the time came with me and had a look at it, and I ended up buying this car. And it sat in the garage for a month until I could afford to tax it. And then yeah, the whole fun of driving the thing started. There was lots of teething issues at the beginning. I think I drove it. The first time I drove it on my own, I took it round the Malvern Hills, which is not far from where. Well, I used to live at the bottom of them, so it was quite a nice drive out there. It was a sunny day, windows down, and it was great.
So it's rare day.
In this country, definitely.
Yeah, we've already had our summer yesterday. It's been and gone now.
Yeah, summer's over now. We're back into winter again.
That's it.
But yeah, I drove around in that for about a week, and then I took it to work the one day, and it died at the bottom of the hill, at the bottom of my road. And my mum came running down the road after me because I couldn't move the thing. I was 19. I just passed my test about a week ago. I knew absolutely nothing. So we got it towed to a mini. A mini guy. He did all sorts. His name was Sam Griffiths. He used to do Rolling Road. He used to build race engines. He did Novas, all sorts, like grass track cars, sort of thing. A few race engines here and there. But yeah, towed it to him. And all it was the float. It was stuck in the car. That was literally all it was. But I knew nothing about it. It was chucking fuel out everywhere, and it was a right mess. But after that, it drove faultlessly. I loved every minute of it. I took my girlfriend out in it at the time. She loved it. And then I ended up starting an apprenticeship at Bosch. And then I decided I needed a more sort of reliable car. So that got sold. Chopped it in for a Mark 6 Ford Fiesta, which was a bit of a downgrade.
Gonna say that it is a
Yeah.
downgrade, isn't it?
And it wasn't even it was the poverty spec one as well. Yeah, the grey plastic trim bumpers. But that served me well for a while. And 6 months into my apprenticeship, I bought another one. So I bought a blue. Well, it was a racing flame, but it was painted in the new Mini electric blue.
Oh, nice.
They'd done the two tones
Interesting.
above from sort of the scuttle panel up to the roof. They painted black, and then the roof was white. So it was like it looked the same sort of color scheme as a new generation Mini at the time. Yeah, and I went everywhere in that. That was I love that car.
It's like your best
It's
friend,
great.
isn't it?
It's one of those ones I wish I never got rid of. Really, it was a first for a lot of things. I mean, that car was the first time I'd ever driven on a motorway. It was the first time I'd ever driven more than 20 miles in one sitting. Yeah, I took it to the mini club meets every Tuesday night. It was brilliant. I loved every minute of it. And then the head gasket went, so that was fun. We did that. It lasted about a week and then went again.
Oh no!
And we fixed it again. Yeah, a few of the little bits here done on it. At this point in time, I'm starting to learn little bits on it. And then yeah, it just kept blowing out gaskets left, right, and centre. So it got put into the garage. It got left for a while, and my friend who I'd met through the mini club at the time, we sourced a 1275 engine, and then we dropped that in. My wife actually bought it for me as a birthday present at the time.
Dang.
Yeah, she actually spent some money, which was nice.
Oh, take notes, Claire.
Oh no!
But yeah, I mean, I drove around in that for 3 years, so it's been up and down the country. I think the furthest it did Cornwall every year, which from where I live is about 200 miles.
It's far enough, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're talking the Midlands down to Cornwall. We do that every year, and then there was runs. It would quite happily do 200 miles at a time. It wouldn't miss a beat. And yeah, other than the occasional bit of oil, that engine in that car, it lasted particularly well. It never let me down, other than a coil. I think it died once because the coil had shut itself. But other than that, yeah, I couldn't fault it. And then you had the little marks on it here and there, age-related marks, but it got used. It was one of these cars that went everywhere. It went out in all weathers. It was the car that I learned what I know now, or where I started learning what I know now, if that makes sense.
Hammering turns, J turns.
Oh no, never done anything like that.
Officer.
No, couldn't possibly do that. I did have a car that I did attempt a handbrake turn in, and it sort of worked. So I ended up facing the wrong way down the carriageway. That was fun.
Yeah, sorry, officer. There must have been some oil on the road or something. I didn't see it,
Yeah.
I'm always so tempted to just give it a little rip ski, but I'm like,
oh, just do it. Just do it.
We did at one of the local shows. I don't know if you know about the mini fair at Bringley Hall.
Yeah.
I picked up an exhaust from there. I think it was probably about 2016. And it was one of these big 2-inch Fletcher stainless steel jobbies. And we put that on, and it must have had no baffles in the back box because it was like an Asbo on wheels. It was ridiculously loud. You're going through these quiet country towns where the houses are like this close together, single file.
Reverberates, yeah.
You're just ripping through it, and you can hear it rebounding off the windows behind you, and everyone's sort of looking at you going, what's in that? And I'm like, it's just 1275. It's totally bog standard head, standard cam. Yeah, it was great. And then it got to a point where I was getting a bit bored of it. This would have been about late 2017. We bought my wife one. So we were doing that up in sort of the background because we had a friend, and he had a big garage out the back of his house, so we were renting there, and we had a couple of cars. We had about 4 or 5 cars in there at one point. And the chap who rented the other side of it, he had it was a Lancia Delta, Fiat 131 Abarth, and at one point there was a short wheelbase Audi Quattro in there, all ready for the kit.
That's cool.
Real nice. Well, they could have been real nice. They were barn finds pretty much.
Still cool to have though, man, in that unit.
Yeah, I had to walk through that garage every time I wanted to get into the garage we were in. So I just opened the door.
What a shame.
You got this Delta that's fully rally homologated, just sat there, and you're like, yeah, I can't get in that and drive that. That's not my car. But
I mean, if it goes back the way it came in, who's gonna know?
I mean, there was no engine in it, but yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been nice to drive. It was weird because this was like a big country house. It'd been there for centuries. I think it was built in 1600s. So you got this big posh house. And it's just a load of old cars out the back. It's brilliant. A proper wine cellar and everything. Real nice. It was dated. It needed a lot of money spending on it, but for what we were at the time, it was ideal. So yeah, I mean, he let us get away with murder there. I mean, we had cars in and out, left, right, and centre. You get someone turn up one day, we'll do bits on this car. We'll do bits on this car. I mean, back and forth, bits here, there, and everywhere. But while we were there, my wife's car, which is still a project in some form, it was on the road briefly and then decided it didn't like clutches, so it got took apart, put back together again, took apart again, and then now it's sat on the patio just outside. It's awaiting to go for paint finally, but obviously that's an expensive jaunt on its own, so.
That's why it's waiting.
Just had a new engine, so all the paint money just sort of went on that. But yeah, so this one we actually got when we were halfway through doing my wife's car the first time round. It was one of those ones that popped up on Marketplace. It was cheap for the time, I suppose. I think I paid about £1,200, £1,300 for it at the time.
It's not bad. That's not bad.
Came with boxes of bits. A couple of seized engines that quickly got sold on because they were no good. And yeah, I mean, within probably half an hour of it being delivered, me, my wife, and my best mate at the time, we tipped it up on its side. It was tipped up on its side, propped up on wheels. We were looking at what was, it wasn't too bad. There was a few holes here and there.
Just for the listeners' sake, the guys who don't watch, or guys and girls, sorry, who don't watch the episodes and just listen, it's a blue Mini Clubman. What year is it?
The 1977 Clubman Estate.
It's very nice. I'm not jealous.
Apparently, people reckon they're rare, but there's loads of them around here. They're all coming out the woodwork.
I think it's the time of the year, to be honest, James.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do prefer the estates to the saloons. There's something about.
I must admit,
the barn doors on the back.
I messaged Mike, I think earlier today or yesterday, and I was like, the way yours sits, like the stance that it has, it looks perfect.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, some fat tires on a estate looks real nice.
Yeah, it had to be tens. I've
right?
got to change the rims at some point now. I'm not a massive fan of them.
So when you got this car, kind of backtrack a little bit, we'll kind of describe, because this is your current Mini. You talked about the one that you're about ready to paint, your wife's Mini. Yeah. Was this one, what did it come with? Kind of describe it a little bit.
So when I bought it, it was purple. It was parked on... I think it was parked on grass at the time. It was just a rolling shell, and it was full of water. It was filthy. It had no glass in it, no doors, no bonnet. And I think it had some rusty old white Weller wheels on it. And then next to where it was parked, there was like a lean-to, and in this lean-to there was just boxes and boxes of bits, and it all came as a package.
Nice.
So my mate came with me in his van. We filled his van up with everything, and then the chap who I bought it off put it on his trailer and delivered it to where we were storing them at the time.
Oh, you got delivery out of it as well?
Yeah, I got delivery with it as well. Yeah.
Oh man, you might as well have taken his arm and a leg at the same time.
Yeah, I think I paid him. I paid him what he asked for it. I very nearly didn't get it actually because he messaged me about the morning after saying, "Oh, so and so's offered me this much for it," and I'm like, "Well, hang on a minute. You've agreed that you let me have it for this price, so can you not, just honour that?" And luckily, he did. Had he not, I'd probably be a bit more flush with cash right now. But I'd probably be deep into something else. I don't know. So yeah, we bought this car on New Year's Eve 2016. The first day we had it back, it was tipped up on its side in the garage. There was a few holes in it. The front end was a bit crusty in places. It wasn't hanging. It wasn't totally too far gone. It was ripe, but for a car of its age, it had gone in all the places you think. So the bottom of the flitch panels, the scuttle, the sills were rotten, and they just kept getting worse the more you cut into them. There were sills on top of sills. There was actually a patch in the floor that was 5 plates thick. That when I put the angle grinder through it, we actually had water running out of it. It was that soaked.
Ooh.
There's probably a photo of it somewhere on I think it's either on Instagram or on my Facebook, because all the photos for it at that time period were put on there, and some of the repairs on there were absolutely shocking. I think the A panel had been bonded on with filler.
No.
Tap round, yeah, it was just bonded on. You literally pulled it straight off.
Who does that?
They're out there. There's people like that out there. And
that's incredible.
There's people that will spend money on them as well. But
I always try to encourage people to like work on their own cars and do this, and I'm slowly kind of recanting my statement because I feel like people do some stupid shit.
Yeah.
There are people out there that should not be allowed anywhere near fiberglass or filler or mesh, Bondo, whatever you want to call it.
There was a guy, acquaintance I've met at car shows, and he works at like a machine shop, and he posts like some stupid shit people do sometimes to their engine. Like the other day, he was like, "Oh, this guy tried to hold his valve springs together with zip ties." It's like, what? Like, okay, like you could let's zip tie some wires, but like valve springs, like what are you doing, bud?
No.
Even Sean knows that. Sean knows
that's
better
saying
than
a
that.
lot.
I'd have just been sat there with the popcorn watching from behind.
Yeah,
because you know what's going to happen. It's just going
to. That's it.
Incredible.
God.
So
know your limits, people.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They I don't think people know their own limits, I guess. I'm not going to try to be mean, but I don't know. Ask for help, I guess.
Yeah. YouTube is good for the most part. There's a lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah, for the most part.
But pretty much everything I know, I've either learnt from my mate Steve or YouTube.
Yeah.
Mistakes. Shit happens, but
100%.
You get there in the end. You just got to persevere.
100%. 100%. James, kind of backtracking. What's the orange estate on your?
The orange. Okay, so that one.
Because that looked like kind of recent, no?
It's a few years ago. But basically halfway through.
It's like a fort year ago.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Side note, I googled it. Fortnite literally just stands for 14 nights, so that's why it's 2 weeks.
Oh, well, you learn something new every day. Even I didn't know that.
So the Google says that. I don't know. It might not mean that, but that's what when I gave it a Goog.
I mean, it's a logical answer. Let's go.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Makes sense. Anyways, so we're just gonna go for a fort year.
The orange van. as it was known. Yeah, it kind of got a story of its own. I was never supposed to have it. It was one of those ones that popped up, and I had to use some money that I didn't really have at the time to buy it, and then subsequently sell another car I had. Yeah, about halfway through while this was being done, I was in the process of over here. There's a website called Swaps. My old blue one I put up on there just to swap because I wanted something different, and a Mark III Capri came up on there. So that was a non-runner, but it was complete mostly. So I ended up swapping my blue one for that, and then about a week before it was delivered, I lost my dad.
Oh, man.
Sorry, James.
Yeah, that didn't really hit home straight away. I was just sort of cracked on with stuff. I thought, nah, you know, one of them, if you stop, then you're going to think about it, and then yeah. So I was at a point with this where I couldn't do anything. My wife's car was done at the time. It was on the road. It wasn't pretty, but it was on the road. So yeah, I just pushed forward with this deal for the Capri. I ended up getting the Capri, and then like Christmas, Christmas 2017. Christmas Day, I got it running. By Boxing Day, I was doing 11s up the driveway of this big house that we lived at the time. And yeah, within like a fortnight of that, it was on the road. You know, we were driving around in it. I drove around in that for 9 months, and then the orange van came up for sale. But it wasn't a van; it was a Clubman Estate that someone had butchered and then bonded fiberglass panels onto. So yeah, that came up for sale, and this was still miles off at the time. I thought, right, okay, well, I want this. So I ended up borrowing. Well, I say borrowing. I asked my mum for what was left of my inheritance. So I went and bought this van, and then subsequently sold the Capri. And the money from the Capri I used to put back into my inheritance, which I was saving up for my wedding at the time. And what little bit I had left over, I splashed on a straight cut gearbox.
Ooh, good choice.
So yeah, that was a no-brainer. It was like, I want the noise. Everyone was like, no, don't get the noise. You ain't gonna like it. Yeah, I do Cornwall in it every year now, and I'm deaf by the time I get as far as Bristol, which is about 40 miles. So, but I wouldn't miss it for a day. I love it. It's great. Yeah, so we had the van. The engine that was in it when I bought it, most of that engine is in this garage, in bits, sort of.
Most of it
scattered around.
The cylinder head and gearbox are in this car. The original crank is on the cabinet over there. It's scrap. That in its own was quite an interesting story. Well, ends up spinning the crank basically. It's funny because when I got the gearbox, we pulled the engine out and we tried to fit it that evening. And when I took it apart, we found out that whoever had the engine previously the end of the crank was damaged basically. So we're there. This is about probably 10:30 at night with a finger sander, an electric finger sander. We're sanding the end of this crank to try and get this flywheel on. We put the flywheel on, put the gearbox on, take it down the road. It's great. Drive around in it. Week later, on the way to club meet, spins the crank. The washer disintegrates. Flywheel comes off. You know, that's the end of that.
Oh man.
That was a sad night.
Yeah, as you're driving, the flywheel flew off. Like, and so did it just destroy the?
So where you got on the end of the crank, you've got the keyed washer.
Yeah.
That was in 4 pieces. Ooh. So essentially, the flywheel was just spinning on the crank. There was just no.
It was hanging around. Yeah.
It just wasn't doing anything. So that had to get recovered home. But yeah.
Can we just stop talking about getting stuff recovered? It's a very touchy subject at the moment.
I've had my fair share of recovery trucks in my time. on touching wood though, this car's never been recovered.
touch wood, touch everything
touch
that's wood,
wood,
touch your head,
touch
touch the
everything wood.
desk, everything.
Yeah.
I'm knocking for you.
It's been on a trailer twice in its own, well, 3 times in its ownership. Once when I bought it, once when it was painted, and then once when it was towed to the rolling road to get the fresh engine started. Other than that, it's never been recovered.
Yeah,
There we go.
That's an excusable use of a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's doable. But I digress. I forgot what I was on about now. I've lost my train of thought.
I sidetracked you about the crank,
Yes.
the flywheel flying off, but
Yeah. So yeah, that happened. Got put back together again, and I drove around in it for a while, and then we got married, and then we decided we wanted a house. So the van got put up for sale. But before it got put up for sale, I had the engine out of it and put it in my wife's car, and then put her snotty old 998 in the van. And I also swapped the nice alley cats for whatever she had on hers at the time because they were pretty crap. So I kept the good bits off it, but sold it. But it was one of those, everyone liked to see it, but you'd occasionally get the odd person that would question why it's got the flag on the roof. And it would be a case of, do you not watch TV? You know,
Was it the Confederate flag?
It was, yeah. You're always going to annoy someone, but it's like, well,
yeah, it's like
you have your
General Lee.
That's
it. Yeah. It was
Please.
more. That's how I bought it. You know, that's how it came. It even came with the Dixie horns and everything.
Oh.
You know, it was the whole hog.
That's funny.
Boss hog.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't get that much shit over there, but driving it over here in certain states, you might.
Yeah, they'd probably shoot at you as well, wouldn't they?
Depends where you're at, I guess. You're either gonna get a thumbs up or a middle finger. I don't know. That's funny.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that car. It was sort of a running joke. I mean, I had Trump stickers plastered over it at one point for a laugh.
Yeah, I saw that. I
was at the car show. I've still got the sticker. It's on the cabinet in front of me. But
yeah, it says Trump make car shows again. Yeah, so good. That's funny.
It's there in front of me at this show, and it was like, I've got the perfect car to put that on. So
that's hysterical.
There's all sorts on there.
Yeah, see, like, I would love to drive that over here as like a gag, but I would probably, like, in Southern California, we'd probably and somebody would get real mad at me for that.
Yeah.
It'd be so funny, man.
Taste.
It's funny. It's jokes. It's jokes, you know? That's what makes this world. Yeah, that man, I don't know if it's, I think you guys are very similar in the UK. You guys like to crack jokes at, like, you know,
the darkest of times, and
we're not afraid to have a laugh.
Americans are kind of like that too, or they used to be, at least. Again, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's what keeps things light, right? Like, you know, I don't know.
A bit down to earth.
I don't know. Anyways, so let's jump back on the blue one here.
Yeah.
So you sold the orange one off, which was a cool one, but was the blue? You kept the good bits, but the blue one was still not quite done yet?
No, it was near completion. It was probably half built at this time. But it got hastily sold so I could finish that and have it ready for my wedding.
Yeah.
Because this car was ultimately used as our wedding car. So yeah, I mean, I needed all the funds for that. We used it for the wedding. And then whatever was left after that got sold to put towards money for this house. So yeah, we went from, at one point, I think we had 4, possibly 5 cars in this one garage we were in. I mean, we had 3 Minis, a Capri, and a whole bunch of engines and other stuff. And a Capri, compared to a Mini, even an estate, is a big car. I think we had my wife's saloon and the orange van bumper to bumper. This was on a rollover jig at the back, and the Capri was just sort of nestled in between them. Just enough to get the door shut. So yeah, we went from 4 to 2 after that, and then hers ended up on the patio, and that's where it's resided for the past nearly 4 years in various different conditions.
Was the blue one pretty much a complete nut and bolt restoration then?
Yeah, the only original panels left on this car were the top half of the bulkhead, the roof, the rear pillars, and the rear quarters. Everything else was replaced.
Wow.
Full floors, inner wings, lower bulkhead, toe board, heel board, front end, front panel, both door skins on the front, 2 brand new doors on the back, all the rear valance, bits in the boot floor, all the box section, all the sills. It was all. It was one of those ones that I think I had to keep myself busy. It was just after my dad and that, so it was like I've got to plough on with this, get this done. Focus on that rather than everything else.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
so you did most of the work?
No. I had a guy who I met through my mate. He started doing the welding for me, but we got so far with it, then he couldn't carry on with it. Basically, for one reason or another, he couldn't carry it on. So at this point, I think this was when I sold the van, and then I put this into the body shop, which was done by another friend of mine. He did the last bits of welding on it and painted it for me.
Nice.
I literally picked it up from him as a shell. Me and my mate Steve bolted the subframes on it at his unit, and then it was put on his trailer and brought home. And then over the course of probably 2 months, we threw this car together. Pretty much every waking minute, I think we were on it. Sort of at some point, like 16 hours a day, just trying to get it ready.
Jeez.
What is it like to have a freshly painted shell and just, reassemble it from nothing? Like, that is like my ultimate dream. And I have the project in my garage. Obviously it's not painted yet, but like I have that. It's going to happen, and it just looks fun. Like, because it's like I mean, you know what I mean? It's like a giant Lego piece. Like, it's a pain in the ass. At a certain point, you're probably like, at a certain point, you're probably like, oh man, I'm over this. I want to drive it. But like subframe, like the line, everything's just kind of like you can just make perfect, or
just lay it all out on the table and just do a bit here, a bit there.
Yeah, like I think it's instead of like you gotta, maintenance on the cars. Like if you're just trying to fix some things to get the Mini back up and running, you gotta like it's dinking around and you're this rusty bolt here and this. But now it's like a blank canvas. You can just fix as you go. Like I like that.
It's an experience. On the one hand, like you say, you got a brand new car. It's blank canvas. You got to sit there meticulously piecing everything together. On the other side, if you make one slip, you end up with a chip or a scratch.
Yeah.
Or in my case, trying to use an easy bleed and then spraying brake fluid everywhere, which never really got over. It just sort of gets touched up with a brush every few months because it's
that's killer.
Yeah. At that point, when you've messed around for that long trying to get a clevis pin in, you don't really want to take it back out again unless you absolutely have to. So it's been in there 5 years and it's not come back out yet. So that's one of those jobs I don't really want to do. I've got to do it at some point, but
if it's not broken,
the car gets a bit tatty here and there. I mean, there's a couple of marks on it now. I mean, I dropped a 2x4 from the garage roof, which
yikes,
pretty much smashed into the bonnet. And I got away quite lightly. There's a very, very small dent in it, which you can't really see unless you're really looking for it.
Do a little paintless dent removal.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's character. There's character to it. I mean,
that's the one reason I love my paint, because it's shit. So I'm always thinking about, I'm working on the car. I'm just putting the wrenches on the wings and stuff like that. I'm like, I need to get out of that habit, because if I actually have a car that's painted, I should not be doing that.
I did that straight away. Force of habit. As long as I've been working on these with people, it's always been a case of the bolts you take out, they either go in the scuttle channel or they go on the slam panel.
Exactly that.
It's always been that way. I don't know any other way. It might have had a rag on it at one point to protect it, but 9 times out of 10, it's just straight onto there, and give it a wipe off after.
There you go.
But yeah.
So you recently, so all right, let's kind of, you had you got it, done, you're putting it back together. What engine went into it versus what you
Into this
have
car.
now? Yeah.
So the engine that went into this car was the backup engine I bought when I spun the crank.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
I drove up north about 3 hours. I bought a 1275 for about £600 at the time. Chucked it in, drove around in that while this one was being repaired. That one then subsequently got cleaned up and put in this, and it lived in there for about a year. And then when I started ripping my wife's car apart, I decided, oh, actually, I'm going to put this big bore engine in with the straight cut box because you've got a nice car, I might have a nice sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that in there, and that was in it ever since. And the 1275 engine that was in it sat on the garage floor for about a month until another friend of ours, we helped him do some work on his engine, and then his clutch bolts decided they didn't want to be in the clutch plate anymore, came out and then destroyed the end of his crank. He moved about a foot after starting his engine, and that was the end of that.
oh,
So he ended up borrowing the 1275. And he said, oh, I'll only borrow it for a couple of months, just do one show. 18 months he had that engine in his car, and it never let him down. It doesn't smoke. It drips a little bit of oil, but it doesn't smoke. It's totally bog standard. Even the head hasn't been ported on it, and it just keeps on going. So yeah, that thing, yeah, it's like all reliable. You can chuck it about anywhere and it goes. And when the engine that was in this decided it was going to die, that was brought back into service hastily. I think I came back from Cornwall, and about a week later was Retro Rides event at Goodwood. And I think one weekend that one came out and that one went in. So I've been driving around for the past year pretty much with that one on. It's still in its original paint from when it was put in five years ago. It's all flaky and dirty and horrible. It's been in 3 different cars since then, but it's still going strong.
that's the
It's
main
even
thing.
complete with a second-hand oil filter because I didn't have a new one at the time. We were in that much of a hurry. I just took the old oil filter back on it.
Shh.
So yeah, that's that. Fingers crossed and touch wood, it's done no damage, but it's going to be rebuilt at some point anyway. But I mean, I've just been driving around in it for a year, and it's been fine. It's done up and down the country. It's done Cornwall. It's done Goodwood, and this was it was only chucked in as a stopgap while this one was being repaired. I booked it in May last year to have the engine work done in September. They didn't even start stripping it until I think they stripped it in December. So yeah, I've literally had this engine back 2 weeks or just over 2 weeks, and the weekend just gone, and the weekend before I've been all over in it. I've done about 950 miles in it. So when it goes back to the rolling road on Tuesday morning, I can finally tune the top end and see what power it's making. Because say the first instance when it started up, they said to me, they said, okay, go and do 500 miles on it. Don't go above 3,000 RPM. So I thought, all right, well, where can I drive that's not motorways? Because he said don't drive on the motorways because the constant speed will glaze the balls or something along those lines. So we took it out into Wales. 8 hours of solid driving around Wales. That was fun. Saw some really nice places, and the weather was really great. But it don't have to take it out when you stop and you get home, you sit down, and you're absolutely battered. You just fall asleep on the sofa. So we did that. I left it for a day. Then I took it back out and took it around the Cotswolds. Did another 150 odd miles in it, and then it went back to them 4 days after they got it running for them to change the oil, do the tappets, retorque the head, and then tune it up to 4,000 RPM. And I got that back on Wednesday last week, and now I've done another 450 miles in it. I did 310 miles on Friday, and I've done another about 110 today. So yeah, by the time it gets back to them, it's going to be just over 1,000 miles. So I'm really keen to see what what sort of power figures it makes, because he reckoned at 3,500 RPM it was making about 75 brake, which
Wow.
Not bad.
I'm surprised at. I mean, spec-wise, I probably should have said that at the start, really. Before, I was always told it was a 1430, but evidently when they had it to the machine shop, they said, well, no, it's got the wrong rods in it. It's actually only a 1380. So I've been calling it a 1430 for about 6 years. It's actually just a 1380. But the cylinder head was the icing on the cake, because apparently it's an offset valve cylinder head, which he reckoned if I was to have a machine now, you're talking probably somewhere between £1,000 and £2,000.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is. I could be talking absolute bollocks, but
No, I think
I was
head
quite,
work can be pretty expensive. You can go
I
down
was quite surprised at that.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean the current spec on it is that the head has been opened out probably to within an inch of its life. It's offset valve. It's got 1.5 rockers. The block is 1380, 11cc Omega pistons, and it's running the MED XT, which I think is the high torque camshaft.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
Um,
Interesting.
Peppy then.
Yeah, it likes to pull. I mean, just between 3 and 4, you can, as soon as you feel it come on the camera, it wants to go, and then you get to 4 grand. You're like, no, I've been told I can't drive it above that.
Got to be sensible, yeah.
Got to be sensible. Give it the odd bit of throttle here and there, and like, oh yeah, it wants to go, and I'm like, no, don't blow it up.
What kind of carb are you running?
It's running a single 45 Weber on a 3-inch manifold, so it's the Maniflow one. So it's not a swan neck; it's a straight manifold, but it fits in the confines of a normal engine base, so I haven't had to modify it, which is nice.
Oh, nice.
When it was in the van, it was on a 6-inch manifold, and the bulkhead had been cut for a box.
Dang.
But power wise, before it was running about 110. So this time round, he reckons I'd probably see about 100 at least. I'll probably lose top end, but I've gained a lot more torque, which is what I wanted. Because it's very rare I drive it that fast. I mean, on the roads around here, you're either stuck behind a caravan or a tractor, so there's no real place to have. You get the odd bit of dual track, but yeah, 9 times out of 10, you just pootling along because that's all the traffic will let you do. And when you do open it up, you scare some people. Because you be driving down the road, the kids will love it. They'll look at it and go, "Wow, that's great!" And then you look at all the elderly people that would have probably seen them in their heyday when they were new, looking at it and going, "What the bloody hell is wrong with that car? It's coming down the road, it's squealing. It sounds like a jet fighter." What's going on here? Yeah, the one funny thing I did forget to mention earlier is when we got it running a couple of weeks ago, on the drive back, the ignition wiring was playing up. We didn't know at the time, so I'd be driving down the road and it just suddenly the light would come on, it'd flicker, and then it'd just die. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So you get out, open the bonnet, have a look, couldn't see anything wrong with it. It hadn't chucked its guts everywhere. It's still all the oil was there, all the coolant was there. Jump in it, turn the key, and it go. Okay, weird. Did that a few times down the road. Coming through this posh village, yeah, and it's school kick out time. So there's all these little kids just come out of school. They're hand in hand with their mum and their dad, or their grandparents. There's a little village shop, and there's me coming down the road, boo 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 boo, and then all of a sudden you're in, boom, because the ignition's gone. It's just effectively I've key banged it. So my mate with the trailer who trailered me up there, he's come running over. He says that's just shot like a 6-inch flame out the back of it.
Oh my god!
Like, okay, so they were there, and all these people.
Did you get a picture of it? No.
No. You got all these people. I literally heard kids screaming when it happened. It sounded like someone has set off a 12 gauge.
That's brilliant.
It scared me. I wasn't expecting. You're driving down the road, bang! What the bloody hell was that?
Oh man, that's good.
So yeah, that was fun. And then subsequently, it got chucked back on the trailer and took back to the unit and fixed. And all it was the ignition wiring was loose. One of the pins had wiggled its way out, so we fixed that. It was away. We're trying to do that in the middle of this country village where everyone's coming out of school and the traffic was all back in. We're like, no, I can't do that there. who just took it on a trailer and took it back. And then since then it's done 950 miles of faultless driving.
Happy days.
This would be really good to see what power it makes.
So once you've had it running, dynoed, etc., what's your next steps with it? What's your next plan?
For this car, to give it a rest. Yeah, give it a rest. I would have liked to have had all this done sooner, but because of delays with the machine shop, because they've had like contracts to fulfill and whatnot, I dropped it off to them in September. I thought, I'll have it back by the end of the year. Obviously, that didn't happen. So yeah, I've got a minor surgery coming up that I've got to have done. So that's going to stop me from doing anything for 2 to 3 weeks. So it's sort of a mad rush now to try and get everything ready so that I can then take this to the Riviera run in Cornwall at the end of next month.
Nice.
Mainly because the chap who built the engine said don't run it in on the motorway because you'll ruin it. So yeah, literally the past 2 weekends I've just been driving this as much as I can to keep the mileage up, so I know that I can go and have this surgery and know that everything's good. I can just jump in it and go then, pretty much. I haven't got to worry about anything. So
that chap wouldn't have liked how I ran in my engine.
Well, everyone varies. I was reading up about him online. Yeah, there's all these different guides of how to do this and how to do that. But it's a first for me. There'll be probably people that watch this and go, you shouldn't do that. You can do this in half the mileage or whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm not. Each to their own, I suppose. I've spent a lot of money getting it done, so
I agree.
They need to do something. I'll do it. It's peace of mind more than anything.
Yep. No, I would have done it like you too. Because I rebuilt mine and I drove it around town for maybe a fortnight. That sounds funny. That's hilarious. But I had some issues and I was about to leave on a road trip, so I was trying to fix the brake issues. So I didn't really get the 500,000 miles that I wanted to get. Maybe a couple hundred. Maybe.
Well, and should have had it in by then.
But then I just took it on the road trip. I was like, screw it, we're doing it live. Hey, it runs strong, baby. It runs strong. So yeah. I kept it under 3-ish. I had it at 3, maybe.
Just a smidge over.
Yeah, maybe a smidge over. Mostly, I was going like 50 for the first day. I was going slow. Getting on and off the on ramps, so.
Oh yeah, that's a given rule. You've got to put your foot down on an on ramp.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to get up to speed.
I love it. That's good. It's good. Well, it's a beautiful Mini. Like I said earlier, everyone go check him out. Miniman J Allen, so you can know what we're talking about. Beautiful Mini. Beautiful color. Is that a original color?
No, it's actually an old Renault Alpine colour. It's period correct for the age, but it's not a mini colour. A lot of people confuse it with pageant blue.
Yeah.
It's very similar, but it's a bit lighter.
Yeah, it's nice.
In direct sunlight, it does pop really nicely.
See, this is what I love about clubby wagons. Is just you've got so much panel space for a decent colour choice, and it will just pop. Whereas like a little saloon, you can have a really nice colour on it, but because there isn't much mass to it, you're not really going to notice it too much.
You can still do good things with them there.
Yeah, definitely.
James, you want to jump into the Paddy probe here?
Paddy probe?
Oh, we got a newbie.
Well, Sean, would you like to describe the Paddy probe to our victim here?
Yes. So, Paddy probe. It is, yeah. Well volunteered, James. Thanks a lot. Paddy probe is basically it could be a quick fire round of questions, or you can elaborate on your answers, but Mike is going to make you sit and sweat, and we're going to sit back and relax and enjoy watching you struggle answer some of these questions. That's it, yeah.
Some basic mini-related questions.
Like Mastermind, then.
That's it, yeah. QI.
This is going to be shockingly bad, then.
Nah, you'll be fine.
Nah, we're good. We're good. All right. First question. What needle number would you run in an HIF 44 on a 1275 engine with a fast road cam? I'm just kidding.
I start with BDL, which is probably
Oh, good
that's a good.
answer.
That's a good
Yeah.
answer. That's a good answer.
anything HIF 44 1275. I've always started with the BDL.
See, look at this guy. That was not even one of the questions, but I'm gonna throw some technical ones in there. That's a good answer. Good answer. That's funny. All right, real first question here. We're gonna get a little controversial here, and we haven't done this one in a little bit. What's your least favorite mini variant?
My least favourite,
Yeah.
contrary to popular belief, probably anything with a BMW badge on it.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. We'll let that one go.
They've got a mini badge on them, but other than the Gen 1s, which kind of follow on from what Rover were designing in the late 90s, they're not really mini anymore. They're nice car. I've had one. They're nice to drive.
Yep.
But yeah, they drink oil. And anything with an N14, I wouldn't touch with a barge pole,
Thanks, James.
as you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're notorious for shitting timing chains, head gaskets,
Scrap
oil.
heaps.
Yeah.
I had a very long night last night. All right.
That's funny.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good answer. Everyone knows my opinion on it. I think I clearly have them. I use them as daily drivers. But
They are nice. They can be nice.
Yeah, it can be fine. It's fine. It's not. It's different. Like it has its similarities, but I'm not saying it's the same.
From.
Correct. I'm not saying, hey, this is better or worse. It's just different.
Everyone likes what like a lot of the young drivers now. That these are getting too expensive, so they're going to start on those because they're cheaper and they're more readily available.
Exactly.
I think it's a good way that the younger people now can get involved with it, because they can always go from a modern one onto something like this.
So like over here, and I'm sure it's less likely over there, but like if somebody, whatever, I say something like, oh, I like minis, like I have to just go into this whole thing of describing, no, they'll like the ones from the 60s, and then they're confused, and I'm like, it's a classic car, because they think, they're not, classic minis aren't very popular here, but the new minis are, and it's just like, I wish there was some differentiation there, but I'm sure you guys don't
throw a square front into that. They're like, "What's that?"
Yeah. Let's see here. I know that you've kind of mentioned something about your wheels on your current car there, but let's go for 10-inch, 12-inch, or 13-inch.
10s all day long.
Do you have a specific wheel that you really love? Your favorite 10-inch wheel?
Not really. No, I mean, I've got super lights on this, but I had a set of 13B7s on my van. They're Alley Cat ones. Mm-hmm. If I could get those in a 10-inch, that'd be nice. But I don't think they ever made them, and I don't think they ever will.
That would be cool. They should make
10-inch Alley Cats would look pretty decent.
Hey, let's head up John Brown Wheels and see if they can get them made. Yeah,
well, if they do, I'll be straight on there buying some.
I think a lot of people would.
I wonder, actually, if you hit them up, if they would probably charge you, but they gotta be able to somehow make that, don't you think?
I guess it depends on the casting, the molds, and then also the licensing as well.
I suppose if it can take the strength as well, because I suppose you're cutting like 3 inches of strength out of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the Force Racing wheels are nice, but they're dear.
Yeah, they're so much money.
Dear. And you try and put some Yoki tyres on that, you're talking over 1,500 quid.
Easily.
Yep.
Maybe one day, but for the moment, it's just well, I say cheap and cheerful, but that was what was available at the time, what fitted the budget. So I think the wheels are the one thing I skimped out on because I'd run out of money at that point. So.
But they don't look bad. They really
don't.
look.
It could look better. It could look better.
Yeah. that's something that's kind of fun to mess around with as you go.
Hmm.
Let's see here, James. Does your Mini have a name?
Not really, no.
Are you one of these who don't believe in naming cars, or
no? My old blue one I used to call Keith because it was rough and ready. Don't know why. That's just the way
Rough
it
and
was.
ready, baby. That's
This
funny.
one, the license plate is rather suggestive, but I don't think it's particularly safe for younger ears. But the plate starts off SMD, so I'll let you think of that one.
I got it.
yeah?
Say less. Say less. I don't know if this is a family show or not. I don't know. I think there's a bunch of old gearheads that listen to this. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, exactly. I get you. All right, we just debuted these, James, but I think they're going over well so far. And with your recent break-in period here, you've been driving a lot, and says you mentioned you like to drive a lot as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with this one.
Okay.
What would be your dream road trip in the Mini?
There's lots of places I'd like to go, but I think I'd have to do the Swiss Alps
Ooh,
to Map Monroe, preferably without the Mafia at the end of the tunnel. I think Sun, Swiss Alps, definitely.
good answer.
Into northern Italy.
That'd be great.
Maybe a bit of the south of France.
Yeah.
Funny and nice.
Damn.
Definitely the Swiss Alps.
I've driven on those roads and they are phenomenal. They are so worth it. And to get a Mini down there, it would feel like home.
It would be sweet.
I'd probably never get out of first gear, but it's just being there would be great.
Hey, with the straight cut box as well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be deaf. Yeah.
Earplugs.
Yeah.
So, a second part to that question is then, what would be your driving playlist? What would be maybe a couple songs or a band that you would want to rock out to? If you could hear it over the gearbox.
If I could hear it over the gearbox, I don't really know. I mean, my taste is quite varied. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, going off what my Spotify playlists consist of, it'd probably be Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, Pink Floyd.
Can't go wrong with that.
Good man.
Yeah, sort of stuff like that, really. Sort of.
Can't go wrong with that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's good. James, this is everyone's favorite. We always end off with this one.
Okay.
If you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea with one Mini celeb, dead or alive, who would it be?
That's a tough one.
I know. That's why it's in the Paddy Pro, baby.
Yeah. I guess it'd have to be Michael Caine.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, just because that film as a child did a lot for me.
Yeah.
And that combined with my uncle is probably the reason I've got this now and why I'm so much deep in it, I suppose. Yeah. On the one hand, it's ruined me financially, but at the same time, I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's
it. I love
enjoy your
that,
passion.
man.
Yeah, and my wife is in on it as well. She'll get more involved in it when hers is done, and my daughter as well. She knows the sound of the car. She hears it coming home. She comes running to the door. Daddy's home. Daddy's noisy car. And then you say to her, "Oh, do you want to get in it?" And she's like, "No, too loud, too loud,
too loud,
noisy."
Not yet. That's good.
Well, there'll be a time for her, but that's part of the drive to get the other one finished as well, so that I can take her out to the shows and stuff.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Pop her in the passenger seat and take her for a little spin.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. It's the joy of it. I was just driving home today, and I was just cruising, and it's just puts a smile on your face. You kind of go back and you think about the struggles that you had with all of your minis and this, that, blowing the engine and the crank and all of that. But, you know, when you're driving it, it's all fun. It's amazing. So I like that answer.
It's part of the experience.
100%. 100%. You know, great story behind your cars and how you got into it. I love all of it. Everyone go follow Miniman J. Allen. I'm saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then check out minilife.37. You can follow me if you want, Goldtooth Cray on Instagram and at Scrapyard on Instagram. James, you have anything else for the people that you want them to know?
Yeah, don't let them sit there in the garage. Get out and use them.
Gotta love it. Better. Sean, right? You gotta get it out of the garage.
Dude, I'm
garage.
Garage. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there, man. I've tested the head. I've checked it with the gasket, and I've just got to figure out the differences from the cam and the lift, etc., etc. So it's getting there.
Math.
Yeah.
How far apart have you guys, right? Have James been down it and have him, you know?
James, whereabouts are you based? Sorry,
I'm Kidderminster, so it's just
Kidderminster. Yeah, you're a good 2-3 hours away from where I am, man. Yeah, that's a trick.
Sean's over in Worcestershire.
Oh my god.
I wasn't that
Worcestershire. Worcestershire. All right. Before we go down that rabbit hole, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, James. I appreciate you for what the
dude. Come on,
of a bitch.
We've got new merch. They've got to know, guys. If you want to look fresh this summer, head over to minilife37.bigcartel. Get yourself some new merch. Get yourself some hats, some t-shirts. Get some stickers.
I got some new stickers coming. I thought they would be here for this episode. I don't know how we're gonna play it because I got some for kind of giveaways at some shows. So hopefully I can get them over to you, Sean, for some upcoming summer meets.
Definitely.
But they're pretty cool. We do have the Mountaineer and Mini Life shirt, which is awesome. I obviously don't have it on right now, but you know what I mean.
We still got the discount code as well for Mountaineer.
Yep, Mini Life 10.
That's it. 10% off, guys, over at mountaineerclassic.co.uk.
Yep. So, anyways, anything else, Sean? I'm bad at that. We got to get James. I'm sorry, man. We're real bad at that. You know what I mean? Like I just, I'm a me guy. I think about myself, and I just, forget that we have a partner.
It's your own time you're wasting, Mike.
Just all right. Now we're definitely rabbit hole.
Yeah, all right. See you guys on the next one. Thanks, James. Appreciate it.
Catch you guys on the next one.
See you later.